Welcome to Dateline Schools, a presentation of the St. Clair County Regional Educational Service Agency, with your host, Chris Troy.
St. Clair County is full of wonderful teachers of all grades, unsung heroes who way too often do not get the praise or recognition that they deserve. But one local Yale teacher found herself being singled out as a new Michigan Teacher of the Year. That's our topic all this week. From Yale Public Schools, the new Region 5 Michigan Teacher of the Year, Jennifer Senkmajer. Jennifer, thanks a lot for being with us today.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So how long have you been out here in Yale schools?
I've been here for 4 years.
And you're here at the elementary school?
Yes, 4th grade at Yale Elementary.
Have you always been an elementary teacher? I mean, was that kind of what you were looking to do when you first started here in education?
I have always known that elementary was my jam. I've known since I was a kid, but I've taught 4th and 5th and 6th grade as an educator, and then I've also taught teachers as well.
What is it about education that you like so much?
Oh my gosh, what don't I like? I love that there's some predictability to what I do, but there's also, it's different every day. There's so much to learn. There's so much to laugh about. There's so much creativity, and kids are just, they're a lot of fun, and they're sponges. There's just so much to do. My colleagues are amazing. It's a great job, best job in the world.
Now, for some of us who don't have kids, what is kind of the age group for elementary school?
So we start with our here in our building, we have preschool kids. We have our DK kids, so we've got our little preschool kids, 3 years old or so, and we have kids all the way up through our 5th graders, so they're turning 11 years old while they're here. So we've got them all the way from little to just before we send them off to junior high.
Now, earlier this year, you got notification of something pretty special. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so what a great surprise. This fall, one of my colleagues, Tom Pemberton, nominated me to be considered for Michigan Teacher of the Year through the Michigan Department of Education. And so through that process, you have to be accepted, and then you got to write a bunch of essays and stuff. And I moved on to a round 2. And then I actually received notification in April that I was honored with the Region 5 Teacher of the Year for 2023-24.
So Region 5, you were selected from. How many regions are in the state?
All right, so the state of Michigan has 10 different regions. So Region 5 is the thumb region.
How many categories are there? You're an elementary school teacher. Is it elementary, high school, middle school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's all three. So some of the teachers that were selected were high school teachers, some were middle, and some were elementary school as well. So it could be any teacher in the state of Michigan that was selected for this honor.
So if you could, again, kind of go through the process with it for maybe people who didn't hear yesterday.
Okay, so in the beginning, I was nominated by a colleague, and at that point, I had to turn in 3 letters of recommendation. I chose an administrator, a colleague, and a parent to do my letters, and then Tom also had to send in some paperwork as well. I sent in some paperwork. From there, I was asked to fill out lots of papers, but also to write 4 essays. From there, the committee read those essays, and they selected some teachers, I don't know how many, to move on to round 2. The cool thing is that Tom Pemberton, who nominated me, he was also nominated to become Teacher of the Year, and he moved on to round 2 as well. So it was super fun to advance with him. In round 2, we were also given 4 more, much more challenging prompts. We had to write on those. Each prompt, we were given a limit of 2 pages to write, and those were super challenging. We wrote on those, and from there, the committee selected the 10 regional teachers of the year. And that was just an amazing email to receive that I was selected as Region 5 Teacher of the Year. From there, all the regional teachers had an interview and a professional development we had to present. So we had a 15-minute time block to present a professional development to a group of people from Michigan Department of Education, a couple of former Teachers of the Year. There was like someone on the board of Michigan Education Association, American Federation of Teachers, a lot of people that are movers and shakers at top levels in educational policy making and so on in the state of Michigan. And sometime in the month of May, they're going to announce which of the 10 regional teachers in Michigan will move on to be Michigan Teacher of the Year. And there are lots of responsibilities, whether you're Regional Teacher of the Year or Michigan Teacher of the Year. So,
Well, Jennifer, you are the Region 5 Teacher of the Year, and there are 9 other Teachers of the Year throughout Michigan. Is it left at that, or is there one more round to be the Michigan Teacher of the Year?
it does narrow down even more than that. We all went through an interview and a presentation process, a couple weeks ago, I guess. And sometime this month, they are going to announce from that process which teacher has been selected as the Michigan Teacher of the Year, and who will do lots and lots and lots of advocating this next coming school year.
So you say the word advocating. What exactly does that mean? What would be some of your duties?
Okay, so as a regional Teacher of the Year, all of us will be meeting. We have monthly meetings that we will attend, advocating. So we're going to choose topics that are really important to us and to other teachers. So we'll be talking with other policymakers in the state of Michigan and talking with one another, finding ways to make things better in the classroom for teachers and better for our students. All of us had to sort of select a platform. What's really important to us, and what do I want to really make sure is better for educators. So for me, teacher recruitment and retention is really important. If we can't convince other teachers to come into this field and to stay in this field, how do we convince parents and students that what we do is valuable? So that's what I'm really passionate about. But I've also reached out to dozens and dozens and dozens of teachers. What's important to you? What do we need to talk about? And then the Michigan Teacher of the Year has even more commitments. They'll be at lots of conferences. We will also have opportunities as regional teachers to be at conferences and talk to teachers and to talk to state legislators. There are lots of commitments. We'll be writing blogs. I also don't know all my responsibilities yet. There's a lot that I'll be finding out this summer as we are inducted, and then find out more about our responsibilities.
Jennifer, teachers are busy enough as it is, working on curriculum, dealing with the little ones, and now you have all these extra responsibilities. Did they ask you before they nominated you, or was it just a, hey, congratulations?
So when I first was nominated, I didn't really realize it, but once I got into the process and advanced on, I did receive an email that said, hey, here are the extra expectations, which were just kind of like, hey, there are some meetings, and I didn't really think much of it. But once I received that, congratulations, you have advanced as Region 5 Teacher of the Year. I had a couple of former Region 5 Teacher of the Year reached out to me, and a former Michigan Teacher of the Year reached out to me and said, hey, this is an amazing journey you're on. And they shared some of their experiences with me, which was really neat. I've been emailing back and forth with them for the last several weeks. It's been super cool. And boy, will my year be busy next year. Some of the responsibilities are optional, and many of them are mandatory. And in my interview process a couple of weeks ago, one of the questions, though, was, should you be named Michigan Teacher of the Year, how are you going to handle that busy schedule? So it was part of the interview process. And among many parts of the answer that I gave, one of the things that I said is, hey, in my classroom, we have a saying, and that's, how are you going to eat your elephant? Because it's easy to get overwhelmed in the classroom. It's easy to get overwhelmed in life. And in the classroom, we talk all the time, how are you going to eat this elephant? And the kids always say, one bite at a time. And I believe that to be true. So it will be a busy year, whether I remain regional teacher or whether I am named Michigan Teacher of the Year. And I'm just going to eat that elephant one bite at a time. I'm super passionate about what I do. And either way, I'm going to advocate for teachers and take it as it comes.
Were your kids excited to hear about it?
Oh my gosh, my kids were crazy excited. They went nuts. In our classroom, we do lots of cheering for each other through Kagan structures, a structure that I learned about this past summer. And the kids went nuts, and they have been so excited. We talk about being lifelong learners a lot here in our classroom. And so they know that as an adult, I learned karate and became a black belt in karate starting at the age of 45. Over the course of many years, and they know that I just started learning to play a musical instrument a year ago. And so like the journey of my fear of going into an interview, a big interview, is something that they were fascinated with. How do you get over fear? How do you prepare well when you're afraid? And today was our first day of M-Step, this day that you and I are interviewing. And so we talked about that. And so, yeah, the kids have been loving having that conversation about how I'm going through some of the same things you guys are going through. Like that whole, how do you get over fear? How do you prepare well when you're afraid? And today was our first day of M-Step, this day that you and I are interviewing. And so we talked about that. And so, yeah, the kids have been loving having that conversation about how I'm going through some of the same things you guys are going through. And it's been a great journey to be on with them, and they love being on that journey with me. It's amazing.
Once again, Jennifer, thanks a lot for being with us today. So what do you think one of the biggest focuses the state of Michigan should be looking at as far as education goes?
So as I mentioned in one of the other episodes, I do think teacher recruitment and retention is huge. I think we need great educators who feel supported and who feel energetic. This is a field that needs great people, but we also need to know that we're supported and that we're valued. And it's easy to get tired out. Like, my prep time isn't enough time to correspond with parents and to correct my papers and to not only plan, but plan really well. And this year I've got a great class size. I am so fortunate. I have 23 kids, but I have 23 kids with tons of needs: social, emotional, intellectual, academically. And then I've got a lot of kids with special ed or with 504. There are so many things that I need to plan for, and I need to plan for my intervention work and challenge and everything. There's not enough time in my prep. So I need to make sure that I am serving my kids to the best of my ability, and it's exhausting. But I also know that it's the most fulfilling job I could have. And we need to support young teachers so that they understand that some days you're going to come home and you're going to cry. And you're going to wish you could take a kid home and be that kid's parent. But you also have to remember that passion. And we need to support them on those sad days, those hard days, those frustrating days, so that they remember how absolutely fulfilling and the amazing work and the changes to the world that we can make. So that's super important. But I also think things like the trauma that kids are experiencing in everyday life. I think the post-COVID stuff, those ripples are going to last a while. There's a lot of stuff that we've got to work on together to address, and the poverty in our state. So many kids are coming to school hungry, and they're coming to school without good rest, and they're not well fed, and there's so many things. So there's a lot we've got to work on, and I'm anxious to hear what the other regional teachers have to say that their teachers are talking about. But I know that these are all things that teachers in my area have spoken to me about. So those are things that I'm anxious to talk about.
Well, congratulations. What an honor. Region 5 Teacher of the Year, possibly Michigan Teacher of the Year. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today. And again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
For Dateline Schools, I'm Chris Troy. Dateline Schools is a presentation of St. Clair County RESA.